Hello, Lancashire West. Warm greetings from the Mamie Martin Fund. I'm one of Mamie's grandchildren, although we only knew her through her diaries and letters because she died when my mum was a wee girl out in Nyasaland. And her diaries and letters formed the basis of the book Salt and Light, written by my mum in the early 90s. So the Mamie Martin Fund is really the story of two couples and many partnerships. Mamie and Jack were married 100 years ago this year and set off for the new life in Nyasaland, where Jack was to be a missionary. Jack and Mamie both wrote loads of letters home, and many years later these letters became Salt and Light, the book. There's a whole story about the letters which I'd love to tell you, but there isn't time today. Before she married, Mamie was a teacher in Edinburgh and Helensburgh. She was quite feisty and quite opinionated. And nowadays, you would call her a feminist. During her time in Malawi, she was outspoken about equal opportunity. She didn't use that terminology. And she was influential in teacher training and in teaching girls and women in her own community. We know all this because probably the things she couldn't say sometimes to people in Malawi, she could say in her letters home to her family, and in her diaries, of course. Part of the process of writing the book, Margaret, my mum, and John, my dad, travelled to Malawi in the early 90s. They had connections there. Malawi and Scotland are always about connections. And this was Maxwell Banda, who was a minister and had spent some time working in Scotland. There's a wee story about Maxwell's connection with the family, which I won't tell you just now. It's another good story. So just before they came home, they were sitting, as you do in Malawi, in the cool of the evening, sitting outside and just chatting. And they said to Maxwell, what could we do in Scotland to help our friends out here in Malawi? And Maxwell said, you could help us to keep secondary school age girls in education by paying their school fees. And Margaret and John said, well, I'm sure we could set up a wee fund, ask some of our friends. And that's how our Mamie Martin Fund was set up. We are a personal and a family-based organisation, even though some family members feel like family members but aren't actually. It started just amongst mum and dad's friends and neighbours and church community and so on. But here we are many years later, and there are a growing number of women in Malawi that we have helped through their secondary school age. And it's really great to know that they're now able to play their part in their community and in their country because they've had that wee targeted bit of help at secondary school age. We know that if you educate a girl through secondary school, they are likely to delay their childbearing for a few years. They are likely to have paid work and to be quite healthy, as are their children. Their children are likely to go to school. The women are more likely to take part in the democratic processes. So it really is a very simple and targeted way of changing the world. What's not to like, one wonders. All good family relationships are based on partnership and mutual respect. And we do try and reflect that in our work with the Mamie Martin Fund. We listen carefully to our friends and our colleagues in Malawi and Scotland, and we work hard at our governance and transparency. We employ a Malawi manager, Mercy Sabandi, and we try to be good employers. We're fortunate to receive very generous donations and legacies and supports and grants, and we're very careful to use these responsibly. We are proud of our good reputation, but we never take it for granted, and we learn from any mistakes that we make, and we celebrate our successes and our achievements. And we're really happy to have you coming on board with this. We look forward to welcoming you into our network and maybe even meeting face to face one day. Now, I don't speak much Chichewa. I've tried to learn, but I'm going to say thank you very much in Chichewa. Zikomo Kwambiri.
This is just to say thank you all the donors, all the supporters of Mamie Martin Fund for the job well done, for the support that you send to Malawian girls for their education. You know, without your help, Without the fundraising that is being done in Scotland, these girls could not complete secondary education. There are such type of girls that have parents, yes, some have guardians, yes, and even some are orphans, but these parents, guardians, they cannot afford to pay their secondary school fees. And not only the fees, these girls like a lot of things. For instance, their basic needs, maybe soap, sugar, whatever basic need that you might think of, they don't even have. So without your help out there, we can assure you that these girls could have never ever had a chance of completing secondary school education in Malawi. So all the girls say thank you for whatever you do for them, and may God bless you for whatever help that is being sent to Malawi.